The signs on the door may be behind on business because this real estate
Seen it all.
now serves to fix real people's real problems.
Any number of mental illnesses.
With counselor
We are licensed as helpers.
Sean Nixon.
Hold on, we're going to start over on that because we're going to do a story or follow a story we've kind of touched on already a couple of times, at least one time. The question is, should you start a policy or form a policy when there's already a code of ethics that covers something when it comes to counselors, let's say? Thursday, we told you about Senate Bill 1352 passing the Senate. It wants to give counselors and therapists the right to refuse service based on deeply held religious beliefs. Those in opposition say, at best, this bill goes against the industry's code of ethics, and at worst, it would legalize discrimination. And as Andrew Bartline learned, associations representing counselors and therapists, well, they never asked for this anyway.
The signs on the door may be behind on business because this real estate
Seen it all.
now serves to fix real people's real problems.
Any number of mental illnesses.
With counselor
We are licensed as helpers.
Sean Nixon.
How's this really impacting your life? Because we are building trust each and every session.
A trust Idaho lawmakers fear is forced on the provider.
No Idahoan should be required to check their moral or ethical principles at the door of their profession.
Which is just another way of saying counselors should legally be able to refuse service to people they disagree with.
It re-traumatizes them. We're not treating people's lifestyles. We're treating an illness.
These kinds of bills aren't new.
Started about 10 years ago.
They've popped up all over the country without a clear reason why it's now in the gem state.
This legislation wasn't asked for by the providers.
And just last session, it passed the House before stalling in the Senate. But it's the House this year that stands between the bill and Governor Brad Little.
The likelihood that it's going to pass is high.
In the name of religious freedom over industry standards, because a mismatch of morals does happen.
And our own ideas about how a person should live their life isn't really germane to the topic.
Counselors are told to seek help from others in the field to get more training to discuss the topic. Referring the client to another professional is a last resort because it comes with a cost.
They have to go through the whole process again of explaining their life.
Trust.
And they have to do this in a completely new environment, not knowing how this other counselor is going to react to them.
But supporters say victims are not the problem. This bill protects counselors from the morally indecent.
He really feels strongly that if he were only to have an affair on his wife, things in this life would be so much better. And he's looking for that counselor that he's working with to validate, to go along with those goals, and to create the outcome that he's trying to achieve.
That is far from it. Counseling gets this view that we're just a friend that's going to agree with us. And there's been many sessions where I've had clients and families leave upset with me because I pointed out the disassociation between thought and reality that they were having.
Sean says the reality of this bill is not about the morals inside his doors, but the people outside.
And a lot of these laws have been really focused on LGBTQI plus clientele.
This is about gay people.
Senator Ruckty said the same.
That's what we're really talking about.
And that's who this bill could really impact.
We are in a helping profession.
But no one wins when values lock doors.
Let's not have to deal with this. Like, see people and treat them like humans.
Sean says his biggest concern with the bill is the lack of a referral process. If a counselor has exhausted all options and truly cannot help a specific client with their specific issue, that counselor will refer the client to another professional. But they will also help the client with other manageable portions of treatment. So there's a transition period. There's not a dead space in between. This bill lets the counselor cut a client cold. No follow-up, no transition needed. And for people who are working through deep trauma, Sean says that can be a huge issue. It can emotionally destroy them in a sense, where it takes them 8 sessions to open up to you and whatever issue they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Whoa, it was too much for me, not talking to you again.
Right, that happens. I mean, the bite about that being like looking for somebody to warrant what you're doing, to give you acceptance and that kind of stuff. Is there any discussion here about whether any of these counselors were consulted when they crafted this bill? I know it's been around for a while.
Now what we've heard from Sean, he's involved in associations, organizations that oversee the profession. He says no.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.